In this video, I want to go over a problem that I'm seeing in a number of the assignments that you submitted related to the expository essay. So this is just a sample from a student in the class. I sort of cut down some of it, but it's from the evidence assignment. And the problem that I want to address here is what I'll call matching the in-text citations with the full citations at the end of the essay. So if we look at what we have here, we have, this is essentially a paragraph, we'll say, and we can imagine that this is in an essay, and we can imagine that this works cited page is on its own page, but for this video I've put them on the same page. So if I'm reading this, I read through it, and we talk about this person, Ronald Iannotti, and it's clear the person's credentials, that he would work as a appeals to authority. We get a quote from him here, and we even get an in-text citation or a parenthetical citation. All of this is fine and good, and in fact, the parenthetical citation essentially is actually not even necessary because he's mentioned here. But the problem here is that this name, when I go look at the works cited page, it should appear here. It should be the first thing listed in one of these citations, but I don't see it. So this is a problem. This is actually, in some ways, a form of plagiarism, depending on who you discuss this with, because basically you're not letting the reader know where that quote came from. You're telling us that who is responsible for the quote, so that's not problematic. But for a research paper, you really need to provide more information. You need to provide the specific source that the reader can find it in, and that is essentially impossible because we don't have it listed. We don't have it listed here. So this needs to match up with something here. If it doesn't, that's problematic. So you need to make sure that they match up. Now, my guess is that this quotation, the one up here, and the mention of this source, my guess, though I can't be certain of it, it's possible that the student just has a source by Iannotti that they never put in the works cited page, but my guess is that this was actually mentioned in one of these sources. That's what we call an indirect source. So let's say, for instance, the student got this quote, I'll change my color here, got this quote and the information about Iannotti from this source. I don't know if this is true, I'm saying hypothetically. So the correct citation then, the correct parenthetical citation would not be Iannotti, it would actually be Patchen. And if there were a page number, it's tough to tell from this citation if there are page numbers. But if there were a page number, I would include the page number here and the citation. Now, but we have to be clear that it's not Patchen that the language is coming from. So we have something we do, which is QTD in Patchen. That indicates to the reader that the student has consulted Patchen's source, and within that source, Patchen is quoting Iannotti. That way, I can go here, and if there's a page number, I can go there. I can then go to this source, find this source, go to this page if available, and I should be able to find this quote by this other author. So that's the way it has to be done. Otherwise, enough information is not being provided. And for our purposes, I'm okay with us doing that, the QTD in Patchen or whatever it is. When you get into serious research, I should note that while this is sometimes acceptable, it's almost always better to try to find the original source if possible. That would be so that you're not trusting the source you're reading to interpret the other source. You're doing that for yourself. So if that is possible, you should do that. But for our purposes, I'm perfectly okay with us doing the QTD in the source. And that would make sure that the in-text citation matches up with a full citation at the end of the paper.